Looking for a college that feels like home and opens doors? Welcome to St. Cloud State, where Huskies come from all walks of life to chase big dreams. From small-town Minnesota to across the globe, SCSU is a place where everyone belongs. Whether you're into esports, student orgs, or cheering at D1 hockey games, there's always something happening on campus. And the best part? It's affordable, so you can focus on your future, not your finances. Come see it for yourself. Schedule your campus tour at St. Cloud State University, the home of the Huskies. Let's go Huskies!
What you are about to hear will blow your mind and give you six-pack abs without even exercising.
Pull up a bar stool and relax.
Hey, who wants to have some fun?
You've made it to Happy Hour with John Gaskins.
Oh, no. Not again.
Get ready for entertaining local and regional sports talk that will change your life, or not.
And by the way, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Here's your host, John Gaskins.
Here's Johnny. Hello! Ah! I'm back, baby! I'm back!
Hey! Happy hour on a Monday. 33 days from the opener of the college football season for the Jacks and the Yotes and a bunch of other teams. Matt Zimmer has a 33-day countdown article at SiouxFallsLive.com right now. We got the Jackrabbit page, the Coyote page. We've been doing plenty, including Missouri Valley Media Days last week on this show and more. We got plenty coming up the pike, including the USD Howling Podcast dudes, Chad Berger and Mark Wentz tomorrow. Yotes' first practice is Wednesday. Jack's first practice is Thursday. Matt Zimmer will be at both. Him and I had a Jackrabbit and Coyote camp preseason preview that you can go back and listen, but most of you have already heard it or watched it at SiouxFallsLive.com from last Thursday. What a weekend. It was hot. It was gross. It was steamy outside, but I was out there because the Sioux Falls Canaries were at the Birdcage winning 8 of 9. The South Dakota State football team was there on Thursday. There's fun video of that, including Dan Jackson's first pitch and an offensive lineman's dulcet tones on Sweet Caroline. As you can tell, I've lost my voice a little bit from being out at the Birdcage, being the jackass on the microphone for 9 out of 10 days, 8 of them wins. We have LeBron James not becoming a Minnesota Timberwolf to talk about today. And we have Jordan Barth, speaking of the Canaries, one of the all-time great Canaries players, part of 2 of their best seasons ever. But now he's playing banana ball. He's an exhibitionist. No, not that kind of exhibitionist, but he's playing baseball for show now. Not with the Savannah Bananas, but with the Texas Tailgaters of the Banana Ball League. And I can't wait to hear about that experience from a guy who's got an incredible personality, or else he wouldn't be playing that kind of baseball. So what a career move it was for him. And interesting stories from Jordan Barth coming up. Reminder, watch us at SiouxFallsLive.com with your subscription. This is a TV show. I mean, we're about to show a bunch of highlights from stuff that happened over the weekend, and we'd love you to watch it. Hope you're enjoying a good cocktail this happy hour. I'm laying low right now. I've got a smoothie in my Husker Power mug because I'm really excited about the Huskers' Big Ten Media Days appearance on Thursday. I can't wait to drink the Kool-Aid Matt Rule, who's 2-10 in November and 0-8 against ranked teams at Nebraska. What he's going to serve, Mr. Conman. And a big thanks to our sponsors at St. Cloud State University, as always, for making this show possible. But again, watch us, Sioux Falls Live, because there's plenty of awesome things to watch from over the weekend. Football hasn't started up here yet. Practices start this week. But if you wanted to scratch the itch as a Coyote fan, you had Travis Theis crushing it for the Montreal Alouettes in the Canadian Football League last night. I saw some huge USD fans on Twitter, and they were going nuts. Theis, the all-time Division I career rushing leader at USD, 3,600 plus yards, 40 touchdowns, most carries ever in the Division I era. And of course, a huge part of the 2023 quarterfinal team, the 2024 national semifinal team, the first 1,000 plus yard rusher in Division I USD history. And now he is ripping it up with the team that's tied with the best record in the CFL. Game 7 was last night against Hamilton. Travis Theis had a career-high 156 yards on 19 rushes. That's over 8 yards a carry. But with Montreal leading by just 6 points, under 2 minutes to go, trying to salt away the game, they needed Travis Theis to come up big. Oh, he was bigger than big, baby. Some big carries into the red zone, into the first and goal range, and then this with 26 seconds remaining.
See if they can finish this one off with a major, or will they just lean on the ground attack, play it safe? Oh, that's all they need. Travis Theis. The Alouettes will move to 6-1.
Make plays in the Canadian Football League. Yet go ahead and roll it, guys. You got to have balance. Okay, he's right here. The jump cut to the left, knowing everybody's inside.
What I loved about that run was on the analysis after it. The commentator on this game, TSN in Canada, the first words he used to describe Travis Theis and that touchdown run is, well, you don't have to be fast to be effective. And that's, that's a snapshot of Travis Theis at USD. Not the most talented, but a battering ram, full of muscle, with a very, very powerful brain muscle as well. Knows where to go. You saw it time and again, and that's why USD fans love this guy. Not just because he donned a Coyote uniform, but how he played. And he's playing that way for, again, a team tied with the best record in the CFL at 6-1. And just his star is rising up north. And if that's not enough for you to love Travis Theis, here's 11 seconds of him after the game.
Teams across the CFL are learning about Travis Theis's game.
I play like an Alouette, man. I'm trying to embody the Alouette way, and that's what I'm trying to do every week.
So there you go. At least Coyote fans had some thirst quenched for football in the summer. The Canadian Football League is a real-life option. Travis Theis, by the way, in his season, averaging over 6 yards a carry, 7 games, 6 starts, and his average is 12 rushes, 72 yards a game, but I have a feeling he's going to get more and more carries as he continues to be clutch for Montreal. Another USD grad had a big weekend. In fact, it was his biggest in a few years. Roll the video. Chris Nilson. This is at the U.S. Outdoor Track and Field Championships. Pole vaulter. His 7th national championship in his career, but his first in 3 years. That winning jump, 19 feet 1 inch. Of course, Nilson, the 2020 Olympics silver medalist in Tokyo. He won 3 national titles at USD. In the World Championships, he's won a silver and 2 bronze. But it had been a while since he had been this close to the mountaintop, and he's back. The view is spectacular. I've had several interviews with Chris Nilson over the years, especially at his days at USD, and he's just one of my favorites because he has a youthful exuberance, which he should. He's young, but also honesty, candor. He's just a guy you can't possibly not like. And here's a minute plus of him after his first big pole vaulting title on this stage in 3 years.
These are the kind of meets that we love because it wasn't easy. It was a struggle the entire way. Every single jump I was like, that sucked, do better. And I just had to keep getting better. And it just ended up in my favor today.
Tell me about that moment. You said you kind of figured out your technique at your third attempt at 570.
Yeah.
Take me through that moment. What did you figure out?
I mean, I just figured out basically how to not hit it like an idiot. I was coming in there all lackadaisical. I was thinking jump like Sam a little bit here. And I was trying to do my best at just literally making it clean. My jump is super powerful because I'm fast and powerful, but I'm not super good technically when it comes to pole vaulting. So I thought, you're fast and you're powerful right now. Everything's going well. Just jump normally because I'm trying to freak out. I'm trying to make the bar. I'm trying to do all these special things. But I know how to pole vault if I just do it correctly, I just need to force myself to not think about making the bar rather than making a good jump. And we figured out how to make a good jump there.
Can you tell me about, was it like a kind of a moment of relief when you did figure that out?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, you miss those moments when you're out of it a little bit. You miss the moments about you get on the pit and you're so elated, like mentally and physically, you just scream and you let it out. And those are moments that you always remember for the rest of your life. I had one of those. My voice is going to be pretty hoarse tonight, but here we are.
Love that guy. One of my favorite athletes I have ever interviewed. So it was a good weekend. It was a really good Sunday for some Coyote alumni. Meanwhile, on Thursday, some Jackrabbit current football players invaded the birdcage in Sioux Falls. Over 100 plus, and yeah, you could hear them and feel them the whole game. Now, there were also over 1,000 Babe Ruth Little League baseball players ages 7 to about 14 in the stands and their parents. So it was one of the biggest crowds of the year. But the Jackrabbits could be heard loud and clear when the Canaries pitcher had 2 strikes on the batters. And part of my job is to get the slow clap going. They were doing a little heckling, but nothing embarrassing or unbecoming of the Jackrabbits or the Canaries and their fans. And but we got started on Thursday night with Dan Jackson and the ceremonial first pitches. Yes, pitches. This is because, well, Dan, who said before the game on this video that you can see from SDSU football, he had not thrown a baseball in a while, and he's not exactly in prime athletic shape, although, you know, he told us he's been losing some weight and exercising more in his second preseason as head coach. Anyway, he bounced his first pitch, and I'm sure this has happened because there's been millions of ceremonial first pitches in the history of baseball at all levels. But how many times has the person who threw it gone, I'm not happy with that. Can I get a mulligan? So he got one, and then he threw a strike. Dan Jackson. You know, you saw Travis Theis and a taste of his personality in those 11 seconds on that soundbite, and Chris Nilson in that 1 minute. Dan Jackson showing who he is, which is, hey, I've got the stage. I want to atone for this, and hopefully Jackrabbit football fans can see that come to fruition this year. 9-5 wasn't bad last year, but it's obviously not what the Jackrabbits are used to, and in Jackson's own word, not their standard. But year number 2, they're expected to win the Mo Valley and compete for the national championship with all the talent they have coming back. And so Dan's like, nope, I got this. We can do better. Throws a strike. We'll see what happens with SDSU football. They have a nice soft beginning to their schedule that starts on August 29th. But later on in the game, it got fun. Thanks to Josiah Johnson, running back, second leading rusher last year for the video. I'm the MC, and I was playing Ric Flair on this particular evening. And in the 6th inning, we did Sweet Caroline, and I usually like to find a fun group of people to help me do Sweet Caroline, and it was a no-brainer to go over to the Jackrabbit section to do this. What I was not expecting, not only all these 18 to 23-year-olds who are very familiar with a 60-year-old song, but also really into it, and then within about 5 or 10 seconds of starting the song, a big guy from the pack, clearly an offensive lineman, emerges to do a duet with me, which I was not aware was going to happen. But somehow, some way, the second microphone in our stands got passed off to Kyan Rauk, an offensive lineman who played in 12 games last year, and it was magical. So best Sweet Caroline we've had at the Birdcage this year, and top 5 Sweet Carolines in 7 summers that I've spent out at the Birdcage doing that song on about 3 out of 7 nights a week. So that's a lot of Sweet Carolines. It was a national championship level Sweet Caroline. As I said when it was over, the Jackrabbits, they're 1-0. Stiegelmeier always said we got to go 1-0 today. The Jackrabbits are 1-0 with Sweet Caroline. That was awesome. But meanwhile, that night, that game, plenty of juice in the stands. It was the biggest crowd of the homestand. But it was the Canaries' only loss in those 9 games. The Birds did not exactly give all those fans, all 3,500 of them, a great show. They lost 11-3 to Winnipeg. The other 8 games on this homestand were absolute dynamite. Canaries won, 8 of 9. They swept the Lincoln Salt Dogs last weekend. They swept the Gary South Shore Railcats this weekend. That's 6 of the wins. And then their other 2 games against Winnipeg, the best of the 3 teams that came here over the last week plus. They won 2 out of 3 and won that series. So the Birds, 8-1 since the All-Star break. They're scoring over 6 runs a game overall in the season. They are 3rd in the league out of 12 teams. And on this homestand, the average final score was 7-5. Now, take out the Winnipeg game, they won by an average of 8-4. And none of this is a coincidence because, A, 2 of the 3 teams that the Canaries played were really bad. The Canaries have been hovering around 500 all year. They battered around 2 of the 3 worst teams in the league. They did it in 2 different ways. They were scoring runs in droves against Lincoln. And then it was more about their pitching in wins of 4-1, 6-5, and 6-2 against Winnipeg. But the best part about all this, and a big reason why the Canaries have all of a sudden exploded in games 54 through 62, Josh Raywalt and Jabari Henry are back. They went through a big slump close to the All-Star break, the Canaries did. At one time, both Raywalt, the former University of Sioux Falls slugger, who leads the league in batting average, and Jabari Henry, the all-time hits, home runs, RBI leader in the history of the league, let alone the Canaries. They were both out. With them back in the lineup, well, Jabari hit 4 home runs on this 9-game homestand, and Raywalt hit 5. So that's a blistering pace, and the Canaries are off and running. 3.5 games back of Kansas City in the Western Division. So the Birds are in second place. You need to be top 4 in the division to make the playoffs. They're 5.5 games ahead of 5th placed Sioux City, so they're looking just fine to reach the playoffs for the 4th straight year. They have the 4th best record in the league, and now they hit the road for the next 6 games over the next 7 days. Birds are 15-16 on the road. They'll be at Lake Country in Wisconsin for the first 3, Tuesday through Thursday. That's a good team. That's won 3 games in a row. Is 12 games above 500 and 22-9 at home. So those would be 3 tough games for the Canaries. Then they go to Kane County, the team that beat them in last year's championship series, heartbreaking fashion in the Birdcage. These 3 games, Kane County in the Chicago area, will be against a squad that is currently 30-30, has lost 3 in a row, and is only 11-14 at home. So these will not be easy games, but winnable for a team that is easily the hottest in the American Association right now. And again, before this season started, no team in their league over the last 3 seasons had won more games when you combine regular season and postseason than the Canaries. And a big reason, second half surge. Yeah, I'd say they have that so far. Birds are back at the Birdcage next week for 6 games. Fargo for 3, Milwaukee Milkmen for 3 more. Both of those teams are above 500. Should be great games. So get ready and get ready to have some fun with us. By the way, Raywalt, first in the league, 356 average. He's first in on-base percentage, 3rd in slugging and OPS. Mike Hart, like Jabari Henry, a veteran in his mid-30s, maybe having the best season of his career so far. 6th in the league in average at 329, 3rd in on-base percentage. Top 10 in OPS, and he's hit 8 home runs. Jabari has 7. Raywalt has 12. Those 3 guys, they're not the only 3. Those 3 guys are the heart of the team and a huge part of their 3 playoff runs and being 3 outs from a title last year. And they're back, and they're better than ever. And another major piece of last year's squad, Jordan Barth, joining our show a little bit later in the show. So the Canaries are red hot. They have incredible hitting, very subpar pitching. The same can be said about the Minnesota Twins. Not the first time we've mentioned it on this show. The Twins are doing exactly what they had been doing all year, and yesterday may have been the perfect snapshot of the Minnesota Twins 2026. some of the highlights from Target Field. An announced crowd of 19,000 plus. There was probably more like 9 on a 99, 105, whatever it was, degree day. The Twins batted around one of the worst teams in all of baseball, the Oakland, Sacramento, whatever the hell, the lousy A's. 7-0 through 4 innings, and they needed all of that and more. Connor Prelip was awesome. First game back from the 15-day disabled list, he gave up just 1 run over 5 2/3 innings, 75 pitches, efficient, 7-0 lead, and then the bullpen blows it. Cole Strands came in, gave up 5 runs, and recorded 1 out. That's not good. But the Twins stayed aggressive on the bases. They ended up getting 3 hits from 3 different guys. Cody Clemens had the first 2 triple game for the Minnesota Twins since 2021 and Luis Arise. And Minnesota wins 11-8. And so far, since the All-Star break for Minnesota, they've done exactly what they've needed to do or what we thought they should do. It was dicey. They had lost 4 in a row at one point, lost 4 of their first 5 on that road trip to Chicago and Cleveland after the break. But they have picked things back up by winning 4 out of 5. And if you look at the bigger picture, you go to Chicago and lose 2 of 3 to one of the top 5 teams in baseball. Okay, no shame. At least you won 1 game. You go to Cleveland, you split a team whose record you're right there neck and neck with in both the division and the wild card race. And then you win 2 out of 3, which was bare minimum, but you got it done against one of the worst teams in baseball. Now you get 3 more against another punching bag, the Kansas City Royals, without their best hitter, Bobby Witt. 3 games in a row at Target Field. You really could use a sweep, but just keep on winning 2 out of 3. Things are looking good, both for your playoff chances and for the chances that you'll be more of a buyer than a seller at the trade deadline on August 3rd. The huge series comes this upcoming weekend in Seattle, a team the Twins are a half game ahead in the wild card race. A lot will go into that series, and once that series is over, we reach the trade deadline on Monday, August 3rd, a week from now. Big, big week of Twins baseball coming up. Meanwhile, in the Twin Cities, the PGA Tour came to town. This was the 8th edition of the 3M Open, which until this past weekend, let's call it what it is. One of the worst, lowest wattage, lowest energy, lowest quality stops there are on the entire PGA Tour slate. Rarely do any of the world's best 10 or 15 golfers enter this event. And before we show the highlights, I'll take a second to reel off the past winners of the 3M Open. Matthew Wolff, one of his 2 career wins. Michael Thompson, Cameron Champ, Tony Finau, Lee Hodges, Johnny Vegas, and Kurt Kitayama. Now, I've heard of some of those guys because I watch a little golf almost every week. Cordell probably watches maybe the 4 majors, and that's it. Have you heard of any of those 4 guys? Or any of those past winners? Not even Tony Finau? Okay, you've heard of Tony Finau. He's one of the longest hitters on tour. Great guy. He's been on the Ryder Cup. He has 9 wins. Other than that, that's just not a who's who, but who the hell is that list of winners. But this year, 3M brought in Scotty Scheffler. And that's where we can go to the highlights because Scotty Scheffler, not a surprise, the world's #1 player, committed back in May and decided to not back out of it. A lot of respect gained for Scott Scheffler for still playing in this event. And the reason why it's one of the worst and lowest quality fields in all of the PGA Tour, mainly because this year it's the week after the Open Championship, the last major. Players are tired. They just flew overseas. They don't want to go to Minneapolis. And there's not a lot of value into playing this event because not a lot of points for their playoff system, at least for the guys near the top, matter. It's not a signature event. Oh, by the way, the course is in suburban hellscape. But besides having a lot of water, and looking like, of course, in the land of 10,000 lakes, not a cool course. But it does set up ripely for birdies, and they were abundant. And Scheffler had a bunch of them on Sunday, and at one point he got to within 4 shots of the lead, but he did not win. He finished second place, 3 strokes behind the record-breaking performance of a kid named Jackson Cueva, playing in his third PGA Tour event. And imagine the pressure that you must feel. You're a brand new pro, a very accomplished amateur and college player, for sure, for Cueva. But you're trying to hold off a hard-charging number 1 player in the world. I mean, imagine 20 years ago, if you're a rookie on the PGA Tour and you have a 3 or 4 shot lead on the back 9 in a birdie fest, and Tiger Woods is nipping at your heels. That was Jackson Cueva yesterday. He did not play awesome, but he made putt after putt after putt, seeing Scheffler's name right below his on the leaderboard, and clinched the tournament record by nailing a long putt, or at least not a tap-in, on the final hole. It's an impressive win. And is this a guy who will just be lost in the heap, of more, who the hell is that, winners of the 3M Open? Or perhaps are you watching Tiger Woods before Tiger Woods, Scotty Scheffler before Scotty Scheffler? Jim Nantz thinks there might be a little bit to this. Here is Jim Nantz on CBS Sports after the tournament.
This kid's going to be a force for a long time, and I think it's nice sometimes to be able to say that you gave him a chance as a wild card pick, a captain's pick, before he goes on a stretch of 25 years, whatever, where he's going to make the national teams on his own. So that began to circle in my head as I was watching him today in this final round. He had a great record as an amateur, as we all know. That included playing in match play events like the Walker Cup. Jackson Cueva is going to be on a scene, rubbing elbows with the upper echelon of the sport now for decades.
So that's from Jim Nantz, who called the event. And if you're a golf geek like me and you were watching some of that final round yesterday, hey, if Jackson Cueva goes on to win several majors, you can say, I watched him at that boring-ass tournament in Minnesota back in 2026. By the way, it's usually been boring. That was not boring yesterday. It's amazing the difference Scotty Scheffler can make. The only thing, Scotty Scheffler winning that would have been the best possible outcome. But the second best is Scotty Scheffler finishing second and playing, making a Sunday charge, and some young phenom beats him out. That's the best 3M Open ever. Not that the bar was very high.
It's still happy hour with John Gaskins. This round's on me.
Our guest today is nothing short of a Sioux Falls baseball legend. Seriously, he was the most prolific hitter in the history of Augustana baseball. Career leader in hits, doubles, RBI, total bases, second in home runs. And then he just casually comes to the Sioux Falls Canaries and becomes one of the best hitters in the American Association for 3 years. Top 5 last year, part of a team that was 3 outs away from a league title. And Jordan Barth has moved into banana ball. He's on the entertainment side of things, but he continues to rip it up in real time. Banana Ball MVP of the inaugural Banana Ball Open. He's hitting about 380, and he's one of the top 5 hitters in that 6-team league. And so what a trip it has been in the last year since I sat down with you at Gateway Lounge, and you were just, you were just a plain old independent league pro. So it's good to see you again. Cold Springs, Minnesota native, St. Cloud area, and you're also on the first place team in that league. You guys are a game up on the actual Bananas. I didn't know the Bananas were allowed to not be in first place. But it's been just over a year. Just describe how much your life has changed since then. Or does it not seem as life-changing as, or is it not as life-changing as it seems?
No, it's definitely life-changing. Obviously, I've lived in Sioux Falls basically since the fall of 2017. So then my wife moved there in 21. So we basically lived there the last 4 years. And New Year's Eve came around this year, and we packed up and we moved to Savannah, Georgia. So a lot has changed. Yeah, like you said, I had the draft in November. I went to the tryout in September, literally like 3 weeks after the season ended. The director of operations called me for Banana Ball, and he's like, "Hey, you want to come to a tryout and give it a whirl?" And I'm like, "Sure, yeah. I mean, I guess." I called one of my best friends, Garrett Delano, who's plays for the Party Animals and have been a part of Banana Ball for a while now, and he said, "Yeah, you should come do it. Come give it a whirl." And I stayed at his house, and yeah, everything happened so fast, and even moving here happened fast. Like it all happened within 2 months, and it's wild. So now we're here and having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, and fun's a big part of it. That's part of what you kind of need to be in Banana Ball, and we'll kind of get into all that in a moment. But if someone wants to go back and listen, you had quite an interesting childhood and life. You were a world racquetball champion at age 16. Was a world champion, correct?
Yeah, 4 times.
Four times. Yeah. Okay. Let's not just once, 4 times. 4. And you know, a unique and engaging personality that shined through in that hour and any interactions you have with people. So when I heard that you were going Banana Ball, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That checks. I don't know how good of a dancer he is. But apparently you don't need to be. And you're giving a thumbs down for those who aren't watching this at SiouxFallsLive.com. So I wasn't surprised, but like just say a year ago, I was talking to you. Was that on your radar? Was that something that you thought maybe was something you could do down the line that fit you?
No, I mean, obviously, yes, it's very fitting for me personally, and a lot of people weren't surprised when I decided to do Banana Ball. However, no, I mean, literally, I'm pretty sure I went golfing with Duel, Mike Meyer, and Allie, and I think that was it. Literally, right as our season ended, I'm pretty sure it was the next day. We were literally talking about me coming back next year and how things were going to look and all of that, and so no, it really wasn't on my radar at all. And kind of a new thing presented itself, and kind of made a decision that was best for my family and me. And yeah, I think it was just kind of a big thing, and it was a kind of a leap I had to take if I wanted to continue to play baseball for a few more years. And obviously we came up a little short with the Canaries, and that's not how I wanted things to end, but I guess here I am now.
Yeah. By steps you needed to take to continue your baseball career, let's just go straight to that. Do you mean financially? I mean, how much of a financial difference is this between the Canaries and Banana Ball?
Yeah, I think it's definitely more fitting as far as, you know, everything, like all aspects. I think I can do this for the coming years. You know, I don't know how long I could have kept playing indie ball, especially with, you know, having to find a job, you know, in the 8 months. And it's hard to keep a job. Like, obviously you play indie ball for 4 or 5 months, and then you have to go find a job for 8 months, and then you're done with that job and you go find a different job, and it's different, you know. And now it's salary here. So yeah. Yeah.
And it's a year. Can you do this year round and make a comfortable living?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's
good.
It's not even that. It's just everything. It's, you know, I had a long conversation with my friend Delano, like I said earlier, and it's just, you go to a different city every weekend. I mean, it's you get to travel around the whole United States and probably worldwide in the coming years, and get to see all these new places. Like, we just got back from Maine. I would have never seen Maine in my life if it wasn't for Banana Ball. Like, we've went to these crazy places in my 20 weeks of playing, and it's just, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Thankful to be a part of it.
It is. You know, and by now I don't think too many of our listeners need a huge tutorial on Banana Ball. They have at least seen or gotten a glimpse of the concept of it. There's 6 teams in the league, and the Bananas started it all in Savannah just over a decade ago, when the owner, who was broke at the time, basically took out his life savings, Jesse Cole, and just tried to turn this college summer team into a band of entertainers. If you could dance, if you could, if you could do something in front of a crowd and play a little baseball, it worked. And, they became league champions. They went viral. They weren't drawing flies. Then they were selling out their little stadium there that's about the same size as the Birdcage. And on we go into an entire league. How would you describe it, though, playing it? How do you describe banana ball, particularly the differences between it and old-fashioned pro baseball that you've been playing?
It's so much different. Spring training, my head was going about 1,000,000 miles an hour trying to, get up to the plate quick, in and out of innings. Like we play 9 innings in 2 hours, no matter what. Sometimes even quicker. Like we played a game in like an hour and 40 minutes this past weekend in Maine. So everything is so fast. Trick plays are so different than, like, I don't even know if I would go play baseball right now, regular baseball, if I would like not do a trick play. Like now it's so like engraved in me that I don't know if I'd like, obviously it would take me probably a week to figure out how to play like real baseball again. And it's just, everything's so different. Like I said, spring training was so much getting used to. And obviously I had a bunch of kind of veterans in banana ball that kind of taught me the ropes. And yeah, it's a whole different game. And it's like, it's almost not really explainable, to be honest with you.
Well, okay. I guess I'll stop trying to get you to explain. But I mean, the pace is something that's deeply and greatly appreciated. I think part of the general image calling card of the league is obviously it's very modern in that it's very viral. You see as many TikTok videos that players make outside of the games than what happens during the games. And you can stop me if I'm wrong. And it's very creative there. And I mean, what kinds of things beyond the baseball, what kinds of things will break out during an actual game? Or what are some of the craziest things that kind of have broken out in the games you've played so far?
Yeah. So we actually, I wasn't a part of it, but there was a pretty viral video from this past weekend at Wrigley Field. The Firefighters and Bananas were playing. And actually, he was in our league last year. Lamar Sparks played for Fargo. He had a walk-up with his sister who was in a wheelchair, and he rode on the back of her wheelchair to Ridin', like the rap song Ridin', rode up to the plate on the back of her wheelchair, and then proceeded to hit an absolute tank, like probably 430 left center at Wrigley in Timberland boots. Off Drury, who also played for Sioux City the last 3 years and was an all-star. He pitches for the Bananas. So it was Drury's probably one of the best pitchers in our league, and he hit an absolute tank off him at Wrigley Field. So like, that's just something really minor to like, it's crazy. Like you got American Association. I think they were both all-stars last year going up against each other, Bananas versus Firefighters at Wrigley in a walk-up that, it was a really special moment, and it was obviously a really good baseball play too. And it's stuff like that. Like you gotta, I sang to my wife on our anniversary live in front of 8,000 people.
How many?
Like 8,000 people in Nashville. I literally sang a Chris Brown song live. Like
which one?
Forever by Chris Brown.
Give us a taste. How does that go?
It goes like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's you and me moving at the speed of light. Yeah, that whole song. I sang like 2 minutes of it in front of. I actually had like 50 friends and family there, and yeah, like they wanted me to sing live. They didn't want me to lip sync either. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I'll do it. I don't care. So it's just stuff like that. It's so fun to be a part of, and it just makes the games that much more fun and, laid back.
Yeah. Now she was already your wife, right? This wasn't a proposal. Okay. This wasn't a proposal, but she
4-year anniversary.
Oh, on the 4th. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to guess that got a stadium-wide blast of cheers, and I'm curious the euphoria or dopamine rush of that versus hitting home runs to like a walk-off home run to win a game. You've hit plenty of those. Compare that.
It's I really wasn't that nervous. Like I know the song so well. Like that is my go-to karaoke song. I could sing the whole entire song. And then like 3 seconds before the camera was just kind of sitting on me, and then they're like, here we go. And then I like started, I'm like, uh-oh. I like totally forgot the first couple words. But then when I started going, I was like, all right, this is cool. But yeah, it's a whole different feeling of you like going out of your comfort zone and singing like literally I'm not a good singer. Like I sing karaoke to have fun, out with friends, but obviously I'm not a good singer and whatever. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And I actually did a run celly earlier in the year. I hit a walk-off home run. Like it was a walk-off banana ball home run because it was in the third inning. And I had to sing the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime performance live after hitting a home run. I was so out of breath. We were in El Paso, so the altitude was different. And that one was a little bit worse, but it's just stuff like that.
Now, but how does that come about? Does someone just give you a microphone and tell you got to sing that song, or was it planned? Had you rehearsed it?
Yeah, we got rehearsal every day before every game. We get to the field probably at like 10 or 11 a.m. for like a 7 p.m. game, and we have rehearsal for about an hour, take ground balls, we hit, and then we got signing usually that starts at like 2:30, 3 o'clock, and we kind of have like different waves of signing up until like 5:30, signing autographs and opening gates and stuff like that. And then obviously we have like probably an hour and a half-ish before our game actually starts to, get loose, stretch out. And then we got intros and stuff like that where we run in from trucks and do our pregame dance in front of all the fans and stuff like that. So it's a whole show.
It is. And when you first got that call from the director of operations, you said you weren't expecting this. What were they looking for in you? What did they tell you? This is why we think you'd be great for Banana Ball.
Honestly, like I don't know how they really found me. I think obviously having Delano here was a big help, and I've had some pretty decent seasons in Sioux Falls and some success there, and I think that's kind of how he found me a little bit. I think he kind of monitored the indie ball team or the indie ball leagues, and just kind of saw who could play baseball to begin with, and who was, good teammates, good people, kind of the fun guys, doing the I don't know, just, finding good people. I think everybody that's in Banana Ball is, a good person and a good person to be around.
But you mentioned that, you've always been a fun guy. You've had a little bit, you carry a little bit of swagger with you, but not a lot of cockiness, just a lot of you're enjoying playing out there, and, you don't hold back on that. And so, yeah, but some of these guys, you weren't hired obviously because you can dance. Now, you can perform because you're willing to sing poorly in front of a whole stadium, which, as you know, I subject anybody who comes to the Birdcage to every single night myself. Terrible singing, but, hopefully everybody has fun doing it. But when you came into the league and you're starting to meet some of these guys, like, just give us a depiction of how many of these guys are like more performers than ball players. What level of ball is this? Because it feels like you're more of the guy, you're one of the great ball players that people are going to be like, wow, he can play some ball. And I'm not saying everybody can't. I'm sure everybody's a good ball player. But what's the range of like performers and ball players in this league to make it all come together?
Yeah, I think so. Each team actually has like 3 specific entertainers. So there's like a roster of 25 people.
Okay.
And there's like 3 entertainers. So we got one guy that was an American Idol. So he's like our country singer. We got a guy that plays like a pretty good guitar. We got a guy that throws in an apron. Banana's got a guy that throws on stilts. The guy that does bat tricks.
Yeah.
Like, so there's different entertainers. However, like, obviously there's more than there's 22 other people on the team. So I think there's definitely guys on each team that are better at performing than, I don't want to say better at baseball, but like they're strictly there to like perform. And then there's, the guys that are there to like still try to like be good at baseball and kind of take in the Banana Ball side of things. And then there's like very, very few guys that are like, I shouldn't say very, very few, but like there's guys that are really good at baseball and really good at, doing the dancing and stuff like that. Because we're baseball players at the end of the day. A lot of us are pretty stiff and aren't very good dancers. So, and
yeah. But were you told you were hired more to be a hired gun as a player?
I don't think anybody's really told to be hired to be, obviously outside of the 3 entertainers, the 22 other people, you're not really hired to be more of a performer, entertainer than a baseball player. But there's definitely guys that are like in more of the walk-ups because they're just better dancers and can move a little bit better than guys like me and a few other of my teammates, I should say.
By the way, the 6 teams in the league, the Savannah Bananas, the Party Animals, the Firefighters, the Texas Tailgaters, the Loco Beach Coconuts, and the Indianapolis Clowns. But you live in Savannah. You're on the Texas Tailgaters. So people would assume you just moved to Texas.
Yeah.
But explain that aspect. It's a traveling team. Are most of the players based in Savannah?
Yeah, so all 6 teams live in Savannah. This is our home base. All 6 teams have a locker room at Grace's Stadium. So it gets pretty crowded there early in the weeks when we're back here in Savannah. But coaches do a really good job of kind of separating and giving each team times to practice throughout the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays in the week. So we're not, all at the field at 10 a.m., 6 teams.
Yeah.
We all live here, and we literally fly out of Savannah Airport and usually have a layover somewhere literally every Wednesday or Thursday. So we're traveling every weekend.
And you're loving the traveling.
I thought flying was really cool at first. And like now it's very convenient. Obviously we get to places where we want to go quicker than a bus. But there's delays, there's weather, there's, all kinds of stuff. So there's definitely flights that are better than others, but
I didn't mean the flying. I just meant like the getting to see so many different places. It feels, it's clear. You mentioned singing in front of 8,000 people, and we're going to get Banana Ball here in Sioux Falls at the end of August at the Birdcage with, 4,500, 5,000 people there. In Lincoln one weekend, they had Haymarket Park in the Canaries League. They had, 8 or 10,000 for that. And then 92,000 at Memorial Stadium the next night. So you're in a wide variety of stadiums you play in. So by the traveling part, I just meant more of getting to see all kinds of places, stadiums, huge crowds, like you're in the circus. And it sounds like you like that.
I love it. Yeah. Like we played at Neyland Stadium where the Volunteers play in their football stadium, over 100,000. Texas A&M's Kyle Field, over 100,000. I would have never, ever, literally ever played in front of 100,000 people in my life, nor on ESPN. So I think we're on another national network this weekend because we play at Boise State's Blue Turf, the football stadium, for 2 games. Yeah. So I think it's crazy. Like we're playing at football stadiums in front of 100,000 people, and it's so much different.
You had 102,000 in College Station at Texas A&M's place in early May, and you said your phone blew up after that. What's been your favorite experience so far, or the most wow, out of body? This is just what am I doing? What's going on here, sort of thing.
Yeah, it was definitely. I think the whole A&M was just so surreal. So we did a march before the game. So we marched through all the fans up to the stage. And at that point, there was, I'm going to say only 40, 50,000 people there at that point for the march. Yeah. And we marched through all those people. And then I get on stage and you could see into how many people were there. And it was never ending. And that was only 40 to 50,000 people. And then they're going to put 50,000 more people into the stadium to make it over 100. And then I happened to hit a home run that night on ESPN, and it was just the loudest I've ever heard things, and it was a surreal baseball moment. And yeah, so the biggest Banana Ball thing I've ever seen, the craziest experience was seeing all those people pre-game, pre-march, and then obviously a personal moment was hitting a home run in that stadium.
I mean, it's been going on several months. You started playing games in late February. You've established yourself as one of the best players, certainly best hitters in the league, and everyone remembers your web gems as a defender, as a shortstop. So how are you processing this level, those crowds, but also this level of celebrity that you probably never imagined you'd have?
It actually, the celebrity part is funny because this past weekend we went on like a little golf trip. We went on a day early to Portland, Maine, and we stayed at a resort. And they put in like their camp resort newsletter that there was like 7 of us that were going to be there. And I tell you what, like these guys that are on like the bananas, the big name bananas, like Coach Rack, Jackson Olsen, KJ, that's literally kind of how like I felt at this resort, like the celebrity status. We were just walking around and people like looking at us weird. Hey, could I get a picture? Like, can you sign our kids' stuff? Like, we're at a golf resort, like just walking around the beach, and we stick out like sore thumbs. So it was like it's that kind of stuff that's surreal, and I never thought I would, kind of. Nothing's changed for me, obviously, but it's a cool thing to be a part of and impact so many kids and fans.
Yeah, that's where we can land the plane is. I think over the course of these 22 minutes, it's pretty obvious why it has caught on and it is so popular, and you guys are filling 100,000 plus football stadiums. But your own words, why is it caught on so well?
I think just the impact we have. Jesse and Emily, the owners, do such a good job of changing things, not making things too repetitive, and I think the game is it's meant to be fun, and I think baseball has kind of got away from that in the past, several years of, it's known as being the long drug out game that, it's kind of tiring to watch. But like you come to Banana Ball and you're intrigued for 2.5 hours from the pre-show that starts, half hour, 45 minutes to the end of the game. Like our goal is not to have fans leave until the last pitch, and then we have post parties and we get to sign more autographs and there's another concert. And I think it's just so intriguing for fans, and us, the players, are so accessible for fans to talk to. Like you don't get to go to even really an indie ball game and be face to face with players all that often. Like it's so accessible, and it's so fun for fans to be a part of.
What's the coolest trick play you've ever made?
I haven't done anything that crazy yet. I fielded one like between my legs. Like I had my left arm behind my left leg. I fielded it between my legs, and then I popped it up like between my legs, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. I wore one off the nose trying to barehand a catch and split my nose open. So that wasn't that cool.
All right.
But, yeah.
You'll take those with the shinier moments, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to ask you the question I'm sure you get a lot. How much of this is fake or contrived? Because it can't be, right? I mean, the dancing numbers, but like the actual baseball.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get it. It was really bad earlier this season. I had so many like dads come up to me and said, well, who's winning tonight? Like, it's like, dude, this isn't scripted. Like sometimes the stuff that happens like late in the games make it seem like it is scripted because of how crazy it is. But like the design and layout of the Banana Ball scoring is made so the games are close always at the end of the game. So there's not blowouts. So it's not 10-0 after 2 innings. So yeah, I think it's not scripted at all. Outside of, like you said, the walk-ups and the run celebrations and the dancing.
Yeah. You get a lot more downtime than you used to. It doesn't look like you're playing every day. But you are traveling.
No. Yeah, we travel, like you said, Wednesday or Thursday, go back Sunday, usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, kind of laid back, get your work in, optional practices, and some golfing, of course.
But yeah. Has your golf game improved now that you get to play more?
I would like to think I think so, but I'm so inconsistent still, even though I'm playing so much more.
Yeah. What kind of dog have you been joining you in the room?
That's Cash. He's my golden retriever. He's our little baby. He's our kid. So he gets very antsy.
It sounds like life is awesome for you. And I'm happy for you. You've earned it. Congratulations. And we'll try to do this down the road. Good luck. I wish you guys were one of the teams coming to Sioux Falls in late August, but it looks like we get the Clowns and
Firefighters, I think.
Oh, okay. You know it. All right.
Yeah.
What should we expect out of that? What are the specialties of those teams or are there?
They're really entertaining. I think, I'm not sure whose headliner it is, but the Clowns can hit. There's going to be a lot of home runs, I feel like, at especially at the birdcage. And if the wind's blowing out, I think you're going to get to see some good baseball and some good hitting.
All right. Appreciate it, Jordan. Have a good one.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Stay right there. Jordan Barth from the Texas Tailgaters of Banana Ball.
It's still happy hour with John Gaskins, but it's almost over. Last call.
We close our show with the big news from Friday, 11 a.m. Well after we had recorded our last show of last week, LeBron James sound the Price is Right loser horns, or the Atari Pac-Man. Not going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Not a big surprise. I don't even know if they were one of the top 5 in Vegas odds for LeBron to choose, but we had done several segments about this, how Minnesota was the best place for him to go if he wants to win a championship, and how perfectly he would fit into what the Wolves needed as their final championship piece. A guy who played a bunch of games this past year, wasn't hurt, still can dish out 7 assists, score 21 points, grab 7 or 8 rebounds a game, be a veteran leader on a relatively young squad that just keeps reaching playoff heights but runs into a wall. But it's not happening. And video producer Cordell Wright, diehard Wolves fan, joins us. And my reaction was he made the wrong choice, but the 76ers appeared to be, in terms of you want to win a championship as the final stage of your career, the second best option. The national media, Cordell, of course, they said that was his best option because no one spent a second considering the Wolves. And it doesn't sound like LeBron spent too many doing that either. But what was your reaction?
Disappointment, for sure. 100%. The initial reaction was disappointing to hear that he was going there. I don't think there was ever really much optimism from me specifically that he was actually going to come. But, the longer it went on, the more the possibility kind of stewed in your mind of how good a LeBron James at power forward starting lineup for the Timberwolves would really look. And so when you get that announcement that he's not coming, it was definitely a downer.
He and Anthony Edwards are somewhat good friends, certainly a lot of respect for each other. And so this is according to our friends at Score North. Judd Zolgad, Phil Mackey, they do a great podcast. And apparently LeBron told Anthony Edwards at some point within the last few days that he was not going to be playing in Minnesota. I don't know if last few days, last few weeks, whatever it was. I mean, this is a whole month and a half process. Mm-hmm. And Ant told LeBron that he will tear his head off if LeBron does not play for the Wolves, whenever the Wolves play whoever LeBron was playing for. So I'm really looking forward to the Wolves playing the 76ers twice and maybe in the NBA Finals. Who knows? So I love that about Ant. Not surprised. This is extra motivation for the Wolves. And, we could stay on the LeBron thing in general, what this means for him, and then we'll get to what this means for the Wolves. For LeBron, of course, a better chance to win an NBA title. The 76ers have always been a stacked lineup for the last several years, but Joel Embiid's always hurt. They just haven't had the right mix, and they fall apart. The Knicks swept them this year in the second round. But you put in a LeBron James, a grown-up, some maturity in there, and it's the easy East, right? It feels like all you got to do is get past the Knicks, and you can make the finals. It's a path of less resistance, and then you take your chances when you get to the finals. So he goes to the East, and that's definitely a big component of having a chance to win one final title.
I don't know if you can call it the easy East anymore, though, because there have been some big shifts this offseason in the East where you see guys like Giannis switching to a better team, making the Heat a potential contender. And then you look at Kawhi coming back to the Raptors. They're going to be dominant. The Knicks obviously coming off a title, number one contender, but you can't rule out the Cavs. The Cavs are still going to be one of the top 6 or 7 teams in the East as well. It's not as one-sided East-West as I would say probably the last half decade has been. So you stack up the 76ers over there now too. They're going to be looking really good. I think that's probably the best starting 5 that we've seen in 20 plus years in the NBA. You look at Jaylen Brown, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, and of course Joel Embiid. that's going to be that's probably the best starting five. I don't necessarily know how deep they are, but when their starters are on the floor, that's going to be almost impossible to guard those five.
I think they'll be an early Eastern Conference favorite, but it's awesome for LeBron's legacy. As others have said, it's kind of just a fun little way off into the sunset if you played for the Heat and Giannis, or if you played for the Wolves or for the Warriors, and you'd be the Golden Guys, right? The Golden Boys, the geriatrics. So he didn't go to a sexy place. He went to Philadelphia, but a proud franchise. And he would be an absolute god in Philadelphia if they win a title, because they haven't won one since 1983. But just imagine LeBron coming to the Wolves. That would be one of the biggest things in the history of Minnesota sports. I can't imagine. Think about it. Who has a best one or two players ever played for any Minnesota team? I don't think we can ever say that, as great as some guys like Harmon Killebrew or Kirby Puckett, or name your favorite best Twin or best Viking. I mean, Brett Favre is up there, but he's not a top one or two. Adrian Peterson up there.
Adrian Peterson was the first guy that comes to mind for me there. I was like, he was probably the best guy in the league at the time.
Yeah. But I mean, greatest player, not just in your position, but the history of the sport. This would have been the biggest Minnesota sports story of all time.
Yeah.
And it's obviously one of the biggest Philadelphia sports stories of all time. But how about them Wolves? So you don't get LeBron, but you now got LaMelo Ball as a point guard. I think you and I both like that.
Yep.
Your shooting guard is Ant. Your small forward is Ayo Dosunmu. Your power forward is Jaden McDaniels. Your center is Rudy Gobert. The Spurs and OKC, probably the two biggest obstacles in the West. What do you think?
I still think they got to get one more guy. Now, when you look at the starting five that they're going to be facing for the 76ers, I think we're going to be talking about who the Timberwolves should be adding when we get closer to the trade deadline. I think you're going to be wanting to look more towards that center power forward position, somebody that can add a little more size to the team. So that way, ideally, you can get Jaden playing more of a 3 instead of a 4. That's kind of where my mindset goes for that team. I'm sure other people have other thoughts, but I would like to see Jaden playing more of a 3 so that his length comes more into factor. I think that'll help him get more steals and things of that nature. So I have an anticipation that they're going to be looking at trying to get some more age and a little more depth at the power forward position, either before the season starts or at the trade deadline.
And we'll remember, Dante DiVincenzo is hurt, and he'll be back, and now he'll be a key player off the bench. And the Wolves, they were beaten brutally those last two games by the Spurs in the conference semis, but that was with Ant playing at 60% at best. No DiVincenzo, which took away any three-point shooting prowess, which is wildly important, and injuries happen to every team. But I think the Wolves are closer than maybe they're given credit for, certainly by Vegas, which, by the way, has the 76ers pegged right now as the favorite to win it all over the New York Knicks. 8 minutes was not nearly enough for this, Cordell, but it was fun. And I don't know. I'm pretty jacked to watch the Wolves in 2026-27, aren't you?
I still love that LaMelo edition. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
That is it for today's show. Big thanks to Jordan Barth talking about banana ball, and for video producer Cordell Wright. I'm John. Big show tomorrow with the USD Howling Podcasters. Happy hour and cheers.
You need anything else, John?
No, I think I'm good, Greg. I think I'm going to tap out.
All right. Have a good night.